Breaking news today. An oil refinery and a border town were both hit by drone attacks. Shelling hit a Russian town near the border for the third time in a week, damaging buildings and setting vehicles on fire, Russian officials said on Wednesday, and they blamed a Ukrainian drone for starting the fire. The governor of Russia's Krasnodar region said a drone was likely the cause of a fire that broke out at the Afipsky oil refinery, just a day after Russia accused Ukraine of sending drones to attack buildings in Moscow. Independent confirmation of the report was not possible right away. Putin had earlier blamed Ukraine for terrorist activity, after a drone attack occurred in Moscow for the first time since the start of the siege. Ukraine has denied any involvement in the drone attack, but Russia's president says it still chose the path of trying to intimidate Russia, Russian citizens, and attacks on residential buildings. Russia has launched its third attack on Kyiv in less than 24 hours, and the resulting drone attacks have caused the evacuation of some Moscow buildings. Shelling hit a Russian town near the border for the third time in a week, damaging buildings and setting vehicles on fire, Russian officials said on Wednesday, and they blamed a Ukrainian drone for starting the fire. The governor of Russia's Krasnodar region said a drone was likely the cause of a fire that broke out at the Afipsky oil refinery, just a day after Russia accused Ukraine of sending drones to attack buildings in Moscow. Additional details will be provided as they become available. A coordination center installed by Moscow reported on Wednesday that 5 people were killed and 19 were injured when the Ukrainian military shelled a village in the Russian-controlled East Ukrainian region of Luhansk. The center claimed on the messaging service Telegram that Ukrainian forces had attacked a poultry farm in the village of Karpaty using HIMARS rocket launchers. Independent confirmation of the claim was not possible right away. The majority of Ukraine's Luhansk region is under Moscow's control. Ukraine didn't respond right away, but they almost never publicly take credit for attacks in Russian-controlled territory, whether that's in Ukraine or Russia. Both sides in Russia's 15-month war, which began in February 2022, have denied intentionally targeting civilians. Since the beginning of this month, Russia has largely given up the initiative in the conflict, and instead of actively progressing towards its own war aims, it has been reacting to Ukrainian action, according to the British Ministry of Defence, MOD, today. According to the report, Russia has launched cruise missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles into Ukrainian territory 20 times this month. Russia's efforts to undermine Ukraine's fortified air defenses and wipe out the country's defense forces have largely failed. Security forces have been reorganized on the ground in response to partisan attacks in western Russia, the ministry said. The report expanded on this by saying that operationally, Russian commanders are likely trying to generate reserve forces and position them where they believe a Ukrainian counterattack will occur. The ministry acknowledged that uncommitted forces were probably sent to fill gaps in the front line around Bakhmut, which undermined the initial plan. The United States is expected to announce a military aid package for Ukraine today, with estimates placing the value at up to $300 million, £242 million. The drone ammunition arrives after the Kremlin blamed Kyiv for new attacks by unmanned aircraft against Moscow. There is no evidence that drones or weapons made in the United States were used in the recent attacks on Moscow. U.S. officials have also insisted that Ukraine has promised not to use any weapons purchased from the U.S. in attacks inside Russia. U.S. officials have stated that the most recent shipment will include 30 million rounds of small arms ammunition, as well as munitions for Patriot missile batteries and the High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS, Stinger missiles for the Avenger system, mine-clearing equipment, anti-armor rounds, unguided Zuni aircraft rockets, night vision goggles, and more.